Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavatpadam Shankaram Lokashankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Krutau Vande Bhagavanto Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyoma Vadvyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Ajnanatimirandasya Gnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitan yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Om. Last time I was talking about different meditations. We had also seen primarily Dhyanam involves Ishvara. But then certain meditation techniques, which most of you have heard from Pujya Swamiji when he conducted meditation, I just gave a summary of it. Few more things about it. Meditator being very important than the actual meditation. So these are the meditations to prepare the meditator. One few of them I mentioned last time. Sakshi meditations to prepare the meditator, wherein the meditator has some space to meditate. There is a Sakshi witnessing the body, then witnessing the feelings, sense perceptions. Pujya Swamiji used to ask us, feel the touch, how your fingers are interlocked, how the legs are squatted. Similarly, just drop the eyelids and feel it. These are meditations to be witnessed to sense organs, sense activities. And very common, very simple and very useful. One of the meditation was Prana Vikshanam. That is also Sakshi. Involuntary activity of breathing and breathing out converted into voluntary. Now, to prepare the meditator, few more meditations were given. One of them was, even today, quite popular. Swamiji often used to conduct emotional healing meditation. As we saw last time, our interaction with the world, our relations, leaves some hurt and the pain. Sometimes there is a legitimate hurt, and sometimes it is subjective, perceptual hurt. When I say legitimate, means objectively is there possibility of hurt. And sometimes because I perceive that way and I get the hurt. And we saw this lingers on for weeks, months, years, decades, for life. Especially the hurt received from the near and dear ones. especially the pain or the hurt regarding our ideals, our values, our goals. And these feelings of hurt keep surfacing. They trigger dysfunctional thinking and further feed that hurt, and further it becomes deeper and deeper, and this goes on. That kind of emotional helplessness is there during the daytime, and it is felt acutely during meditation. As they say in modern jargon, why me kind of feelings. Either we blink it or slog over such feelings, or we have to heal that feeling. We have to grow out of that feeling. When I say grow, is quite different than forget and forgive. There are a few meditations of forget and forgive. They say, just forgive people, forgive people. In fact, Swamiji, a couple of times I have heard from him, who are we to forgive? We cannot forgive anybody. We deserve forgiveness from others. And when such things are told, or let go things, the hurt is so deep, the pain is so deep, that new feeling keeps surfacing. Why should I forget this? I don't want to forget. I want to take revenge. I want to teach that person a lesson. Why does that he or she does like this? I have to straighten him up. All kinds of retaliatory thoughts come. And the mind justifies. That person doesn't deserve forgiveness. What he or she is doing is totally wrong, totally unethical, totally improper. More so, having studied Vedanta, the feeling comes more stronger. This is adharma, and I don't want to forgive her, doesn't deserve forgiveness. You may be right, okay? That person may not be deserving. He or she might have done something adharma or improper outright. But then, listen, this you deserve as an individual who is hurt. You deserve to be released from the clutches of the hurt. You deserve to be freed from this accumulated, which keeps on accelerating the pain. I need to grow for myself, okay? I need not forget or forgive that person. You may be right that he or she doesn't deserve forgiveness, doesn't deserve, has to be, the he or she should be punished. That's okay. But then I need to be released, freed from that accumulated, and which keeps on accumulating and accelerating the pain of that caused by that person. That is a root, that is almost like a seed, and I have created a whole big tree out of it. So, it doesn't work. More so, you cannot forgive or you cannot forget anything out of decision. People tell, forget it, forget it. They say, swallow your anger, leave it. It doesn't work. Because that feeling of hurt, that feeling of anger is not out of decision. If it was out of decision, you can free yourself with a counter decision. It is not born out of will, and therefore will cannot work there to grow, to leave that feeling. Then what should we be doing? There is an answer. As I said, we have to learn to grow out of this. First and the foremost thing is, to grow out of it, you need to have certain understanding, certain clarity about this life, about the world. First, that is, when you grow, you can grow out of it when you accept that thing. Whatever hurt or inappropriate behavior that person did is accepted. How to accept? Please understand this. For that, you need to, as I said, we need to understand certain facts of our life. What is a life? You cannot find a person who has all the qualities that you expect him or her to have it. Even if you find that this person has, you better don't know him. You better know that person little more. And even if you are right, your own mind changes, your own values changes, your own attitude changes. So that person will have something which you don't like. There cannot be a person having everything that you like, and there cannot be a person having everything that you dislike. It is mixed bag. As they say in a market, 1 + 1 comes free. You buy one and get one free. What you get here in the market, you buy a desirable and get one more desirable free. But in life, you buy one desirable and you get what you dislike, that is a free, it comes with it. Second thing, the other person either may not be willing to change or may be incapable to change. Whatever values that I have and that which I want other person to adopt, that person may not be wanting to change. And third way of acceptance, which Pujya Swamiji often used this meditation, I have a lot of space when a 2-year or 3-year child, my own or anybody's child, behaves, conducts or speaks inappropriately. When they speak something, when the child says something, I have acceptance of the child. Now listen the next sentence. I don't demand the child to be different. I accept the child to be as the baby is. That is acceptance. And when that acceptance is there, baby doesn't hurt us. My own child, 5 years, 7 years old child does something, it doesn't hurt me. But then the same baby of 21 says something, same sentence is said, it hurts me a lot. Because I had a space to accept the baby's behavior. Even sometimes we have a space to accept the behavior of some unknown people, some mentally retarded people, because they are what they are, and I accept them to be what they are. I don't expect them to change, for I think they cannot change, they are incapable of change. Now I'll connect you with those meditations. Pujya Swamiji often used to ask us, help us visualize, that you visualize the sunset or sunrise or something, and you will say, you don't want it to be different. Visualize a meadow, cows grazing, beautiful scene. I don't want it to be different. I accept it as it is. Then he would say, visualize your spouse, visualize your mother-in-law, visualize your son or daughter, accept them as they are. Next sentence was very important. They are like this in my perception. My perception, they are like this. And it's undesirable fact, maybe, but like the child who is incapable to change himself or herself, this person with whom I have to live life is incapable of changing himself or herself. He or she is incapable to manage his own emotions, his own values, his own attitudes. And such a person seems to lose that area, seems it is vulnerable for him or her. Otherwise, very discriminating, very cognitive person. But then temporarily, that emotional issue, he or she cannot manage and is overtaken by it. Means we accept the helplessness of the person. You might have heard this word, two-step response. That I have a pain, that I want to retaliate, that I want to teach a lesson to that person, that I want to bring that person to right kind of thinking, etc., that may be legitimate. But that response is based on one-step response. What he or she is saying, how he or she conducts, this is my response. Two-step response means I look at or visualize his or her background, then his past, his or her upbringing, his or her childhood or values, and then see that in that light. In the light of that, I will find it that person just cannot be otherwise. So you might have heard this, if you remember the word. Swamiji used to say, Pujya Swamiji in meditation, this is how that person is. He or she cannot be otherwise. This is what it is. When you accept that way, emotional healing takes place. The first place, the attitude to retaliate, attitude to teach a lesson or correct the person was born out of my perception, born out of one-step response. But when I have two-step response, I can see the limitations of that person. That person cannot be otherwise. In the 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavan gives a very new definition of yoga. Atmaupamena sarvatra samam pashyati yorjuna sukham va yadi va dukkham sayogi paramo mataha. When one places himself or herself in other situations, other conditions, and then looks at the situation, present situation, and evaluates. In other words, when one can see others' dukkha as his or her own dukkha, see other happiness as my own happiness, that is a Param Yogi. That's the greatest yogi, Bhagavan says. So, two-step response helps us to heal ourselves. I repeat, this emotional healing meditation to accept the person as he or she is for my healing. It is not justifying his or her behavior. It is not to tolerate his or her behavior. I need not tolerate the harmful or hurting behavior and allow the person to be whatever he or she feels like doing. No. I cannot allow a dharma, and we should not allow a dharma also. We should take appropriate or adequate actions. We should do something to draw the boundaries to that adharma. It is acceptance doesn't mean let the person be loose. Acceptance, prior to acceptance, listen this, prior to acceptance, I need to draw boundaries to protect myself. I need to draw boundaries to save myself from that inappropriate behavior. I need to draw boundaries to protect myself from adharma. It is not just inactivity. Acceptance doesn't mean inactivity or dullness or no response or no resistance. It is not that. What I am trying to tell you is you respond. We must resist adharma. We must draw the boundaries. But then that hurt, which creates whirlpools of the further hurts, this feeling that keeps surfacing again and again and gives rise to that dysfunctional compulsive thinking, which further breeds hurt, and that goes on, and I become sadistic, sometimes pessimistic people I have seen. Then that, to save yourself from that kind of feeling, and then to learn to be objective to that person. When I have two-step response, I will be objective to that person. Sometimes my expectations may be inappropriate. I don't say it is illegitimate. As a brother or a sister or a son or a daughter or a father or mother or a spouse, but I may have expectation which may be legitimate. But then it is like when I ride a vehicle, I can expect it to go by the speed of 100 kilometers. That a car should go by 100 kilometers. I want to reach fast. But unfortunately, I have selected our good old ambassador. That ambassador car, I had it in 68, 69, those years. When it drives beyond 60, it makes such a noise that you don't need a horn. 100 meters away, people know that the car is coming. And the whole car, all the parts keep making noise, then all the nuts and the bolts. So that is, my expectations are inappropriate. So I should have an objective, if I pardon me for using this modern word, SWOT analysis about the person from whom I am hurt. Somehow, this particular person related to me in any which way, spouse or a son or a daughter or a father or mother or the best friend, my estimation about him, my understanding about him was inappropriate. I didn't have proper data and I thought him to be like that, but he was not like that. My expectation was wrong, not the person. I thought he will help me when I needed this much amount of money, but he didn't. Well, you thought so, but he was clear from day one that these are my boundaries. I am there with you anything but except fiscal transactions. That may be his value. Similarly, we cannot and we should not blame the person. That blame game stops when I see two things, two-step response, and analyze objectively my expectations, behavioral expectations from the person from whom I have hurt or I have pain. This is healing meditation, what Swamiji often conducted in the class. Second meditation also is one kind of healing only, but then it involves Ishvara. Certain situations that it is legitimate to say that for no fault of mine, I became a victim of a given situation. Like catching a corona nowadays, it's a painful. Some relatives get it. It's so painful, especially in the West. I recently, a case has come to me. Just 10 days ago, 10, 15 days ago, the couple went and gone, retired couple, just retired 1 or 2 years ago, and they were traveling. They were in France and then came back, and they shortened the trip by 12th or 13th and came back to US in 15th, and after 10 days, she had a corona. She was taken to the hospital and then she passed away. And they didn't allow the husband to come. They just burned her, asked him his wishes, where to bury, how to bury, burnt her and sent him the ashes. The person is so hurt, cannot accept. Why this? At least I should have seen the face. At least I should have talked to her. The saving grace was that some good nurses in the hospital used to connect FaceTime and show her face and did a talk before she died a couple of days ago. Till then, he had a good conversation with her. But at least I should be present at crematorium and this and that. Hurt. Some situation, like in office, I may be deserving promotion, but I don't get. Like a company, for somebody's fault. Like this, here we had a big scandal about Yes Bank. The promoter of the bank did some golada, and so many people lost their money. They invested, it's a very big scheduled bank. There is a hurt. What fault of mine? There may not be my fault. There may be somebody's misuse or abuse of free will. Like even when the accident takes place, there are two reasons. It may be my prarabdha to meet with such an accident and pain, or it may be the misuse or abuse of someone by someone else, his or her freedom to act, freedom over action might have been misused by that person, and I become victim. Those situations, human heart cannot accept. There, we have to, that is a meditation to let go. And that let go meditations involves Ishvara. Which Ishvara? The Ishvara who is the order of karma phala. In our tradition, especially in Rajkot, I remember, in Gujarat, it is not so prevalent. It was not then. But here when I saw in 84 back, I was touched by it. When the dead body is being taken to Smashana, crematorium, everybody on the road will stop and do namaskar. Even now, if some dignitary has passed away, the Prime Minister, the President, they go to offer the tribute, floral tribute to that person, his body, they invariably do namaskara to that. You know where does the namaskara is done? Namaskara is not done to that dead body. That person may be younger, and that person may be respecting this person, but they respect him. It is a namaskara to Yama, namaskara to Mrityu. As Bhagavan says in the 11th chapter, Kalosmi loka kshayakrit pravruddha. Lord himself manifests as Yamaraja, and a death is nothing but a natural order of karma and karma phala that has come to us. Sometimes people have guilt about it. People have hurt about it. So much of guilt, they think themselves to be responsible for that. And they carry that guilt and the hurt. Because of me, if I don't do this, how will that person will feel? Lifelong, Swamiji, I have a guilt that I did not take care of them. Though they were like that, they were little cantankerous, but I should have become a large-hearted, blah, blah, blah. Hindsight guilt they create. No, one should not want. Sometimes people have this value. This is a good value, but it creates a guilt. He or she wants people around to be happy. Goes out to make everybody happy. Tries to keep others happy. And in the process, he or she stretches himself 100+%, and all others, his or her, the periphery of all others keeps on expanding. In the process, the near ones and dear ones are taken for granted in making others happy. He or she unknowingly hurts and makes others, these people near and dear one, unhappy. Because of this one value, I want to make all happy around me. And that creates guilt later on. If I couldn't make them happy, there is a guilt. And those who were legitimately not taken care of by that bigger periphery, by so many people that I went out to make them happy, and the closer ones were not happy, not taken care of. They are hurt. They hurt this person. So there is double feeling. Hurt by the near and dear one, and guilt about those peripheral people whom I wanted to be happy. In our culture, it is said, Vasudhaiva Kutumbam. That is true. I should care for all others. I should give to all others. I have a duty. That is what our culture says, to plant kingdom, animal kingdom, all devatas, everybody, to my family, etc. But at the same time, they teach boundaries also. You cannot make all happy for all the times. And some people, in Gujarati they say jalo, they are so clinging, they are so demanding, they are so smart in creating a guilt in you to fulfill their own requirements. You can never satisfy. We have to draw a boundary, both boundaries. Boundaries in my expectations from near and dear one more so, and boundaries in fulfilling my duties, boundaries in making others happy. I have to draw a boundary. And that is why in our culture we had something called Vanaprastha Ashrama. When there was a Vanaprastha Ashrama, that was a boundary. Over. No more duties except the first family. That also the spouse. And that too Mitra Bhava. Only Sakha Bhava. Just like a friend helping each other will live. The person gives up all responsibilities to the son, as it makes him the head of the family. And he or she just remains, in a modern jargon, like a chairman of the company, attends the board meeting, but the son is like the managing director. Day-to-day affairs are taken care of by him, not me. So both types of boundaries to want to avoid hurt, to help myself from that hurt, and another boundary in terms of my duties, in terms of my things to be done to avoid the guilt. Sometimes you may be right. The guilt may be legitimate, may be proper, but then I need to learn to accept this is how it is, full stop. My destiny is like that. I couldn't do this and I cannot do this, full stop. Rather than brooding over that hurt and the guilt, it is better to act it out. If there is a hurt, do some seva. If there is a guilt, do some seva and act out the guilt or accept the law of karma and accept that I cannot make happy everybody all the times. As a being a human being, I have my own limitations. And because of my limitations, I cannot do certain duties. I accept myself. I have to heal myself. I always want life to be pleasant and happy, which is not the case. As they say, it is not black and white, it is always gray. That being a case, accepting the life to be like this, I learn to heal myself. Accepting my limitations, I heal my hurt and the guilt, and that is called emotional healing meditations. Actually, it is not the meditation, it is preparing the meditator for meditation. Because when the meditator is free from hurt and guilt, that means meditator is relatively free from compulsive dysfunctional thinking. Meditator is free from reactive thinking. Meditator is free from that flood of thoughts, like flash floods in the rivers, that he or she is free from that. That trigger is not there. And since the trigger is not there, he has little inner leisure and composure wherein he or she can meditate. Now, this is all about meditations on the meditators, which though not strictly relevant to the verses, but since the topic was that, I thought of introducing these things and talking to you. Otherwise, later on, this discussion will come in the 6th chapter, which will be quite late. And some of you are advanced students of Vedanta, and these are the things helps us in our day-to-day life also, helps us to understand our own mind, helps us how the mind creates problems in our life, how I am being carried away, how I am hijacked, how my wisdom is clouded by my own emotive thinking. So thought I just discussed. Now I'll come back to the verse where I had left it. That is, then, and we had talked, again I remind you about auto-suggestion. The mind has a capacity to help and releasing the pressure. And another carry home exercise, I don't know how many of you tried last week, I mentioned, do the introspection. Call back. What all you did, just go through the whole sequence. After meditation, we get out and get angry upon ourselves. No, sit quietly and analyze how the mind went. Or even simple teleconversation. Just think, how have we started, where I went, where I moved, and how my thoughts came out. And ultimately we ended up discussing our pain, like a typical Gujju joke, this daughter and the mother, when they call, this one lady whenever she called up somebody, she will talk, or whenever her call comes, it will be minimum 30 minutes. So one day she gave a cup morning, it was a Sunday, and gave a coffee to husband, and her coffee was there. And the call came and she went in. So husband said, let me finish my coffee. Now she will not come minimum 30 minutes. Within 5, exactly after 5th minute, she came. This fellow says, how come your calls last 30 minutes and today you are back in 5 minutes? She said it was a wrong number. That also took 5 minutes. Even a wrong number. So this mother and the daughter talking, half an hour, 1 hour they discussed. My mother-in-law is like that, and mother says, my mother-in-law also was like that, and your father also was behaving like this, and she says, my husband also is doing like this. And after 1 hour, when they are putting up the phone, the typical Gujarati last sentence is, જવા દો ને આપણે કોઈની વાત કરીને શું ટાઈમ બગાડો, ચાલ પછી શાંતિથી વાત કરશું. Meaning, why should we waste time in talking ill about somebody? We'll talk while leisurely and later. Then what was this? I don't know. Then just analyze. If it is a man, they end up in politics. They end up in weather. They end up in business. They end up in the current situation. How the mind moves. So vulnerable areas, the trajectory of the ways of thinking, that if you analyze, or while driving home from the office, especially in the Western countries, what was it that I was thinking for 1 hour? Then you will understand. So introspection in this way, and auto-suggestions, and accepting, healing myself, and prana vikshanam, etc. will help. Now, the shloka is, Bheda bhavanat sohamityasau bhavana vida pavani mata. Seeing Ishvara different from me, meditating upon Ishvara as separate from me is called Veda Dhyanam, and seeing Ishvara as non-separate from me is called Abheda Dhyanam. Okay? Here Ramana says, instead of meditating with the attitude of duality. Duality means Ishvara is different and I am different. And the attitude of non-duality, that is Soham, I am that, is more purified. In the beginning, Veda Dhyanam, meditation with an attitude that Ishvara is away or different from me, is nature. So that is what my conclusion is right from childhood. And that's what is confirmed by Puranas. That is what it is confirmed by some Shastras and by other religions also. They say God is somewhere up, God in heaven, or God in Kailas Loka or Vaikuntha Loka, etc., etc. That is always there. That being the case, that history also talks like that, especially Indian history, because Ramayana and Mahabharata is a history. So Rama came and went away, Krishna came and went away. So also other religion would say the messenger of the God came, or the son of the God came, and then he went away, and the God did not come, and he said God is in heaven, etc., etc. That there is an attitude of Lord being different or separate from me is natural in the beginning. Here it is said, instead of invoking Ishvara as separate can be invoking Ishvara in an idol, invoking Ishvara in a picture or anything. I can imagine, I can look upon Ishvara as myself. That is called Abheda Dhyana. You know, there are shlokas. When you do puja, there is a very beginning itself, they say, Deho devalaya prokto jivo deva sanatana. This body is nothing but the temple of Ishvara. And the individual, the Jivatma, who is inside this, is nothing but Ishvara. Or that sloka, Atma tvam girija mati sahachara prana shariram gruha. Pujate vishayopabhoga rachana nidra samadhi sthiti. Sancharav padayoh pradakshina vidhi stotrani sarva giro yadyat karma karomi tattad akhilam shambho tavaradhanam. Hey Shiva, take it as an offering. So there are prayers. I can invoke the Lord in this body itself. That is why, just to explain, understand certain things, some of you who are chanting Rudram, those who are doing puja or even Vishnu Sahasranam, there is something called Nyasa, Anga Nyasa. You invoke different aspects of Ishvara into your body. That means, Devo Bhutva Devam Yajet. You as though become with a bhavana, with an attitude, not out of understanding, Ishvara, that Devata, and worship the Bhagavan in that form. This is called as Ahangraha Upasana. See, one thing, when we say Isha Vasyam Idam Sarvam, nothing is separate from Ishvara. That being the case, Ishvara can be invoked in any form. That means it includes this particular form as well. I can invoke him as myself also. Okay? And this Abheda Bhavana, invoking Ishvara as a self, is Pavani Mata, is purified, more purified. By Mata means considered by the Shastra, because it's a stepping stone for the vision of non-duality. This Ahang, it is called as Ahangra Upasana, that I as Ishvara Upasana, that Ahangraha Upasana is a reminder that ultimate truth is Abheda. You have freedom to see Ishvara as separate from you, but then the truth is, Ishvara is non-separate from you. That's the ultimate truth. And in fact, Lord also wants that. Wants you to discover that. Okay? Bhagavan certifies to Arjuna, hey Arjuna, you are my greatest devotee. You bhaktosi me sakha cheti. You are my bhakta. Twice in the Gita, Bhagavan says, you are my bhakta. But then, when Arjuna Bhagavan was grieving, Bhagavan took the opportunity and taught him the vision that, hey Arjuna, I am not separate from you. And you are not separate from me. He didn't ask him to sing bhajan. Or he did not sing bhajan, or did not do yoga, or did not do samadhi, so-called nirvikalpa samadhi, etc. No. When the Lord is considered as fundamentally different, then one can never ever get rid of sense of limitations, sense of helplessness, bhaya, dependency. That sense of beggarliness will continue. That duality sometimes provides security. When you look upon the Lord as Father or the Ishvara, all-powerful, and yourself as his child, the person may feel secure, but one should know, one should at least accept this is not the ultimate vision. Look at this. If you see the 11th chapter, Bhagavan showed him the cosmic form. Arjuna saw this. He is everywhere. he says, Dishasya sarva tvayaikena purta. You have fulfilled all directions. Wherever I see you, it is you. Then he says, you have 1,000 heads and 1,000 ears and 1,000 legs and 1,000 eyes and etc. And the shine, the effulgence is like as if the 1,000 suns have risen on the horizon on the east. So much brightness you are. All the glory, he said. Cosmic form. And he could not find a single spot where he was not there. One. But he left out one. Himself. He saw himself to be different, and therefore there is a bhaya. Bhitosmi prasida jagannivas. He said, I am afraid. You be pleased with me. Tenaiva saumya rupena bhava sahasraput. That with that tender form which you had, please assume that. I don't want to see this. So, that apurnata, that dukkham, that beggarliness will not go when there is a Veda Bhava. I repeat, you may have Veda Bhava. It may be filling you, fulfilling you. Maybe you may be feeling happy in that Bhava. You may be feeling secure in that Bhava. You may be feeling content and peaceful in that Bhava. But because you love one particular form of a Lord, Rama or Krishna or Devi or Shiva, whatever. But then the culmination of love is fusion of duality. The ultimate love is non-duality. And therefore, he says, Abhida Bhavana is Pavani Mata. That requires a Shraddha. One can have Veda Bhavana. Lord may be the object of worship, something, object of prayer, to be adored, to be surrendered, to be loved. That is as an object. Object means not object is the inert object I am saying. It is a very divine feeling. There is a love, all right, but it is separate from him. But when one is Shraddha, then one can accept that Abheda. That acceptance is the first stepping stone for discovering Abheda. One needs to accept that. Sometimes this Veda Bhavana is so entrenched, it is so controlling, that person loses the Shraddha, doesn't even accept that this, ultimately I have to gain this. No. That because of sense of security, because of sense of love, because of sense of some peace and happiness and contentment. Exactly like which I have seen an Indian girl, when she's brought up with a very love and care in the family, and when they start talking about her marriage, they start looking at the boy, she would invariably say, I don't want to get married. I'll stay here and serve. It is sometimes out of insecurity. She's so content and happy here, doesn't want to dive into some unknown waters, and therefore refuses. So some people, Veda Bhavana, entrenched, Bhavana is so entrenched, they refuse even to accept that. That is where the Shraddha comes in. True, Lord is Sarva. True, Lord is Sarva Shaktiman. He is omniscient, omnipotent, etc., etc. And it is equally true that I am limited in terms of my knowledge. I am limited in terms of my capacities and in terms of my existence at the physiological, psychological, emotional, etc. I am limited. But we need to accept that I, at the level of I, from the standpoint of the consciousness, we are not separate. That discovery, since it releases one from the bondage of samsara, it is called Pavani Mata. It is most purifying, it is most rewarding, or this is most fulfilling, is Abheda Bhava. And then he concludes this discussion There is some mention about Nididhyasana here, and the next verse we shall see it tomorrow. Namaste. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha.